Sydney Harbour and the Hawkesbury are undoubtedly two of the finest bream fisheries in the country. And what better place to stage the 2017 Bream Australian Open? This event draws in the finest anglers within our country in a boater-only format lasting 3 days, the only tournament of its kind. We follow Kris Hickson over the 3 days of the tournament.
That's all it was too.
Yeah, so this particular comp, this is like the best bream fish shows in the country, eh?
Basically, yeah. So it's on, or generally it's a Sydney Harbour tournament, but they've thrown one day on the Hawkesbury as well. And the majority of the guys that are fishing it are from around this area. So it's the best of the
you're
guys.
An outsider.
Bit of an outsider, yeah. So you got a few other guys that have travelled that are also really good fishers. Steve Morgan's here. But a lot of them are local guys, so they know this waterway. They fish it often. I fish it once, maybe twice a year if I'm lucky, and I haven't fished it for 12 months. So luckily, I think the last tournament we had here was a pretty similar time of year, and the harbour's not a massive system as such. Like, it's a big arena, but it's not a long system. Things don't change too much, so you can rely on that a fair bit.
If there were two other guys on the water that you know are going to fish this tournament,
yeah,
which are the ones that would make you the most nervous?
Ross Cannizzaro, he's definitely going to be up there. Always up there, Sydney Harbour Hawkesbury tournaments.
Yeah.
Like, he knows
well.
the place well. He knows where the big fish are. He's really good at getting those big fish out.
Yep.
And he's got a really solid milk run of a lot of spots that, especially on this one where we're a couple of different venues, that last day they've going to have had a rest in Sydney Harbour, so a lot of his spots were refreshed. He's definitely going to be up there, if not going to be hard to take it out.
Are you a very competitive person? Like, naturally?
I try to tell myself I'm not, but yep. Yeah. No, I am. Yep.
Do you need to be for these?
More competitive against myself than anything else. Like, I like to satisfy my own urge to do well.
After hearing from Kris, we head to the pre-tournament briefing and catch up with a few other competitors to try and get an insight into their plan of attack.
Okay, so you fish this area all the time?
A good 20 years.
So you know it really, really well?
I do a little bit, I guess so, yeah.
So with the group of guys that are here, who do you reckon is your biggest threat, like in this comp?
I'd say it'd be the guys that don't fish it a lot, because the harbour fish is quite funny. I mean, it's one of those places where every bit of structure can hold those secret, elusive big fish. And the problem with it is that you can drive down the river and go, that looks like a great spot. That looks like what do I do? I've only got 7 hours to do this in a competition situation. And I mean, it's those guys that travel and that can fish, like your Kris Hickson and your Mark Healy and all those guys that are my threat and have always been the threat to me.
Why do you do this comp fishing?
I guess it's the challenge. I really enjoy a competition nature. I come from
You're
a background.
a competitive person?
Absolutely. You know, my father was competitive. It's my nature. It's what I love doing.
Do you set yourself a plan, or do you just go out there and go for it?
Kris and I fish very similar. We're powerheads. We go out there and just fish our absolute heart out. I've got no plan.
You don't say, okay, I'm going here first, then I'm going to go there.
I've definitely got spots, but it doesn't always fall into plan.
Really?
Yeah.
And are you going to fish soft plastics? Are you going to fish hard bodies? What do you think you'll use most?
Well, this is the transitional time of the year right now to fish the harbour. You can catch them on anything, whether it be hards or softs. I will have more soft plastic baits rigged up for this one.
Yeah. Good luck, man.
Thank you so much.
You know, fishing to me and you, we started with a handline, we started with bait, then we thought, let's try lures. And then when we get good at lures, we want to beat someone else. And then when you've won a tournament, then you want to win the Australian Open, because the Australian Open is the biggest and the best that you can do. And it's on the best waterways. Sydney Harbour, Hawkesbury River. You don't get better fisheries, you don't get a better field of anglers, and to have that trophy on your mantelpiece,
that's pretty
that's
cool.
The one.
That's the one, isn't it?
If you go back to the stats, it's like I've won this event before, Graham Franklin's won this event before, Kris Hickson's won this event before. for. So there's 3 previous winners here, and depending on how the fishing plays out, if we end up with real calm days and it's real finesse fishing, I'm going to be a good chance. If it gets real rough and it's a real like an aggression bite, Kris Hickson's going to be real hard to beat. So, and then you've got guys like Ross Cannizzaro, who's never won an Australian Open, but he's won on every single event, on every single arena that we're fishing here. So I could not pick it.
No.
You know what? When we used to film AFC, I used to want to try and engineer the results. And one thing I learned is you can't engineer the results in fishing, because when it's your day to win, that's when you're going to win.
It's just fishing. Who would have thought that a little fish like a brim could be so exciting?
It was amazing. When we started ABT, it was 17, 18 years ago now. We started with bass, but nearly immediately we worked out that bass was only geographically limited.
Yeah, of
Brim
course.
are all over Australia,
everywhere.
and they eat lures. And back when we started it, people didn't fish with lures much. So it's really cool to see the little humble brim go from a cheese and a dough and a mulligat eater to a $35 bet minnow eater.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what it's about, and the industry loves it. And how good is it that all of these guys, their egos, their persona, everything about them is about catching that little bread and butter fish. It's cool.
Yeah, put the mocker on me. Literally got back, unhooked, parked the car, locked everything, grabbed the rod, threw in the cab, and it came in.
Took it right?
Yep.
Yeah, man, there's a lot to think about, isn't there?
Well, that's the thing about my brain pops every time I do.
How are you going to sleep tonight?
It's I'm just tired. That'll help me sleep. It's just one of those. That's just part of tournament fishing. It's decisions. That's all it comes down to is decisions. And if you make the right one and things go right, you do well. If you don't, you suck, basically. Like,
it is forecast to be pretty calm.
Yep.
What would you tend to go for?
If it's glassed out,
Something with a treble?
lighter, slower, deeper in the structure.
Yeah.
Is basically how it's going to be. Yeah, just slower. Get it in there. It's one thing to catch them. It's another thing to catch good ones. I don't like it when you rock up the big sack of fish and everyone's sack's bigger, which happens as well. Had that before.
I must admit, I might have had a few more wins about that. Yeah, their little heads and then their big ones. Yeah, but I can't run a gun with that. No. Anyway, right, mate.
All right, we'll get everybody to move around the front if they could. We have a drive-by start this morning. Now this morning when you come through, we'll have a fair gap between the boats. We want a good opportunity to get plenty of photos. All right, guys, if you want to make your way around the front, we are on schedule for a 7 o'clock kickoff.
Boat number 11, Kris Hickson. 19, Daniel Scott. Boat 23, Chris Cito.
Do you generally set yourself a plan? Like you sort of, obviously you pre-fish, you go out there and check out what's happening where and whatever, and then you set it in your mind, okay, well I'm going to hit here first, I'm going to go there next, or do you just go with the flow?
Probably 50-50. I like to go out with at least half a plan, especially like try and run with the tide. Knowing what spots are going to fire at what tide and what way the tide's going. It's nice to have that plan so you don't get lost through the day, but you've also got to adjust. Like if it's not happening and stuff's changed from say the pre-fish or a couple of weeks before, or what you've done in previous events, which quite often is what I rely on, just prior knowledge. Yeah, you've got to be ready to adjust. So it's one thing to have a plan, it's another thing to stick to it and being able to modify it to the best you can. Come on, you got it? Yep. That's better. Don't. Ah. Quit going in there. That's a good fish. Don't. Ah. That's better. A bag of those suckers would be nice. Sun's harsh in the eyes. There's a bite. Finally a nibbles. He's all right. Ooh. Not as big as I thought he was. Feels like it. It's hard to tell. Yeah, it is. Got him! Oh, at least I did something right. All right, I now have what they call a full sack. Couple little squirrels in there we've got to get rid of, but look at that. Pretty much wrecked that cast. Oh, there he is. Oh, look at his mate's twice the size of it. Get up. Might be upgrade, maybe. It's fat, it's not real big. There he is, come over, here we go. Here we go. Feels all right. Not big, but all right. Just got to get one of his big mates that's in there. Yeah, they're 29.5, so that's about 2.5 centimetre, 3.5 centimetre upgrade. Sweet. Don't go around him. Ah, you would.
As day one of the tournament comes to a close and 5 fish in the well, Kris reluctantly heads back to the weigh station to see how his haul compares to the rest of the competitors.
Andy Parkinson is our next angler. Had a good Vicky tour this year. Was Harbour kind to you today, Andy?
No, it wasn't. The fish won today.
Tim Vickers, you have brought me a full sack. And it is a healthy limit of brim. 424, round of applause. It is 424. 2 more days to go.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you very much.
Ross Cannizzaro, how are you, my friend?
Oh, look, you know, it all came together in the end, and I think a lot of guys would have lost a lot of good fish today. It's just one of those bites, and unfortunately, it's a harbour.
All right, let's hit the button and see what you're going to get. We have a good solid bag for day one for Roscoe. 363, round of applause.
Thank you.
Kris Hickson, you were shadowed by a film crew today. What sort of weight do you think you got?
Low threes, mid threes maybe.
All right. Yeah. You are shocking at picking your weights. We have 3.73, fantastic effort. That puts you in the hunt to win this event again. There you go. How's that? The kiss of death.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, well done, my friend.
Not a giant bag for the harbour by any means, but a pretty good start for a 3-day comp. It's sort of gives you something to work with. You're not left behind right from the get-go. There's fish pretty much scattered through the system, which makes you pretty confident. If you're not catching them straight away at a spot, get out, go somewhere else.
Overall, feeling pretty good?
Yeah, feeling good. It was a good day. We ended up catching a lot of fish. Like it was a fun day, really. It was the last 3 hours was full on. It was upgrade after upgrade. It was just a shame that they were small upgrades and it wasn't just 1 or 2 really, really big ones. So, but hopefully that comes in the Hawkesbury tomorrow. We'll have a red-hot go then.
Do you reckon there's much of the, the whole cat and mouse game with the other guys that compete?
Yeah. Some of them there is, definitely.
Throw a few furfies in there.
Yeah, I'd tell the truth, bugger all. It's funny, some of them will tell you the truth.
Yeah.
It's far left.
Yep.
Some of them will tell the truth hoping that you don't listen, basically. If I'm on to something really good, I won't say anything. So, but that's just one of the things. It's the same old motto for ABT, who shares wins, and it comes true fairly often.
Sitting 50 grams behind the leader, Kris wastes no time with the start of day 2 on the Hawkesbury. He knows it only takes that one big fish to make all the difference.
Done me. Number 1. Skinny. Oh, that'll do. A bit better nick that one. I'm happy if I can get a start here, I can go chase big girls later. I normally do one run through with this lure just because it's a bit of a staple here. And then I'll switch to a Z-Man Streaks, a little bit bigger. Good because I don't see him too often. There's a big one there, it normally helps fool him a bit. Yeah! They're like Sydney Harbour, man, they're going, aren't they? Either that or I'm a bit fairy dust this morning. Probably a bit both. How you going, lads? Good. What are you using? Try a little plastic like minnows, bass minnows or something. Good shot. There's a bream, I think. He didn't run enough out there. So when you get them too close to the boat, they just keep going down. They can actually get there pretty easy. Don't fall off or anything, that'd be disastrous. Get up. Get up. Yeah. Oh, it'll do. It'll do. That's 5 anyway. Now, the fun starts. Hopefully I can ditch every single fish that's in that box through the day. That'd be nice. I think the thing that makes the Hawkesbury so good and one of the best places on the East Coast is its sheer size. Like, it's a big, big waterway. We've got a bass comp there on the weekend after this, starting at Wiseman's Ferry, and it's 65 kilometres to the Windsor Bridge upstream. To Pittwater from there, I think it's like 65, 70 kilometres as well. And then you've got Brisbane Waters, Cowan Creek, Browra Waters, Browra Creek, Mooney, there's creeks running off it everywhere. It's deep, like it's massively deep. Lot of structure. There's so many places for those fish to hide all the time. You're not gonna fish them all. It doesn't matter how many people come on here, you're gonna miss some. So that, it lets them grow big and they can move in and out a lot too, so. Oh, that's a nice fish. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. Shit. Ooh, don't. Oh, man, that was under that rock a long way then. That's better. Woo! That's close. Should just put him in the tank, eh? Let's see, yeah, 32 and a bit, that's all right. A bag of them is minimum in this joint. If you don't have an average of that, probably not in the game. So he was 27 and a half, wasn't he? Pretty sure he's the smallest. They're all very similar, so I'll worry about it after I've done this bank. If I catch another one, I'm pretty sure I'll be that fella there. He's a really skinny 30 centimetre fish. So it'd be nice to get rid of him. He's only going to weigh the same as some of these other 28s, I reckon.
Next episode, Kris takes us into some territory that most anglers wouldn't dare, and the competition gets tight as the weather forecast for day 3 starts to look nasty.
What does he need? 3.39. You ready, lads?
3-2.